It's been 2 years to the day since the release of Justice League, and people are still talking about the Snyder Cut. In May 2017, director Zack Snyder stepped down from the project in the wake of a family tragedy as Joss Whedon stepped in to conduct reshoots that were said to be minor and maintain Snyder's original vision. But by the time the movie hit theaters, that was clearly not the case. The tone was drastically altered, the story was rewritten, and the movie as a whole was a nightmarish Frankenstein's monster of two separate visions hastily stitched together at the last second. Fans immediately called for the release of Snyder's original version of the movie as a petition grew to reach 180,000 signatures. Deleted scenes leaked, and Justice League bombed at the box office. Fans hungry to find out what Snyder's true original vision was started pouring through trailers and behind-the-scenes photos to identify all the missing footage, and piece by piece, glimpses of a totally different movie began to appear. Evidence of missing scenes continued to be discovered, revealing missing backstory for underdeveloped characters, deleted action scenes, payoff from previous movies, and more. Everywhere fans looked, from concept art to visual effects and the reels to behind-the-scenes photos, evidence of a totally different version of the movie continued to mount. Eventually, these leaks became even more drastic as storyboards revealed DC megavillain Darkseid, who we now know was played by Ray Porter. He was supposed to be a looming force. The nightmare scene from Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice had a continuation, and a number of fairly major characters were just entirely removed. Slowly, Zack Snyder himself started to join in, occasionally dropping an image revealing something new about his version of the movie. Fans mounted bigger and bigger campaigns, raising money for big publicity pushes at Comic-Con, and raising over $110,000 for the American Foundation of Suicide Prevention in the name of Snyder's daughter, Autumn, all the while keeping #Release the Snyder Cut alive on Twitter, reaching a fever pitch this last week, leading to the anniversary as Snyder and his cast and crew all fed the flames. Now, when movies are reshot all the time in Hollywood, what makes Justice League so special, and why are calls for a Snyder Cut louder than ever? Even though the studio is clearly pivoting away from that direction and so far ignoring any mention of the Snyder Cut at all. I'm Andrew Caravella. Welcome to another edition of Animated Times. So, Warner Brothers tried to hide the existence of one of the biggest movies of all time. You see, the Avengers may be all the rage right now after the Marvel Cinematic Universe successfully brought the Infinity Saga to a close with Avengers Endgame, the world's new #1 box office champion, but the JL has always been a far more popular comic book team, at least until recently. While Marvel's team is comprised of mostly B and C Squad characters, Justice League has Batman, Superman, and like Wonder Woman, three of the most well-known characters in fiction, and has had a number of popular animated incarnations. Now, on top of the team's place in pop culture, Justice League was going to be one of the biggest movies ever made with a budget of around, $275 million. It was the team's first cinematic incarnation and was expected to be DC's response to the MCU. When Warner Brothers decided to change Justice League, they didn't just want to make some alterations or add connective tissue or add comedic relief. What the studio did was aptly described by many as an attempt to de-Snyder the movie. Zack Snyder is known for his bold visuals and darker tones and high contrast colors and lighting, but since the reaction to Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice was so strong, those were all things the studio sought to minimize, in addition to cutting as many clear references to his past DC films as possible. The official line from the cast and crew during the press tour was that the movie still honored Zack Snyder's vision, when it clearly didn't, and before Comic-Con 2018, a Wall Street Journal article cited an unnamed Warner Brothers exec who suggested the Snyder Cut didn't exist and Warner Brothers had no plans of releasing it. The only problem is, the Snyder Cut does exist. Now, before we get too far into this, we need to define exist. That doesn't mean it's ready to be projected onto an IMAX screen tomorrow. There's still some work to be done, but the cut does exist in a relevant form, whether it's 100% done or 80%. The fact of the matter is there's a mostly complete, totally different $275 million blockbuster sitting in Warner Brothers archives, collecting dust as thousands of fans campaign to see it. Now, the Donner cut of Superman 2 wasn't nearly as far along as Justice League, as Donner didn't even finish principal photography, while Zack Snyder finished 100% of principal photography and around 6 months of post-production. So, considering the Donner cut got finished and released, it's more than fair to describe the Snyder cut as something that exists. The biggest reason people can't stop talking about the Snyder cut is because of Zack Snyder himself. People's opinions on him as a director are just as split as their opinions on his movies, with many embracing his hyper-visual, larger-than-life approach to mythical concepts and storytelling, while others find it too dark and violent and lacking a focus on the characters and too on the nose. While debates over the quality of his movies are likely to continue, one thing that's no debate is his influence on pop culture. Everyone is free to have their own taste in movies, but Zack Snyder is undoubtedly an auteur filmmaker, only one that deals in massive blockbuster movies and loves to try to hit the zeitgeist right on the head as often as possible. Now, this approach is bound to turn off a number of audience members, but the fact remains that it means something to be a Zack Snyder movie. Now, many of the detractors deny that that's the case, but the proof is in the pudding with Justice League alone. The Whedon auditions stand out so badly against the Snyder's footage because people know what a Snyder movie looks like, and it's something Whedon was unable to replicate. Numerous other directors have had their movies rewritten and reshot to similar extents, but none have seen anywhere near the same level of fan campaign. The fact that Zack Snyder is also teasing and encouraging fans who want to see his version of the Snyder Cut also keeps the topic alive and well. The concept of the Snyder Cut has gotten so popular, it's now used as shorthand for the better version of something people considered a letdown. It's so popular that a promo video featuring a language inventor had him translating the phrase into High Valyrian from Game of Thrones, alongside other huge pop culture phrases like use the force or live long and prosper. Now, if it wasn't clear before, it should be clear now. The noise around Zack Snyder's original version of the movie is reaching a crescendo, and it's high time for Warner Brothers to finally address the Snyder Cut. Alright, well that wraps up this video. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Go ahead and smash that like button if you like the video, and don't forget to hit subscribe below the video as well to get more awesome content from Animated Times.